This is Skolola. At only 12 years old, she had endured more hardship and heartbreak than many people face in an entire lifetime. Raised on the streets by a mother battling mental illness, she had no father, no proper home, and nobody to protect her future. Her time in school lasted just 2 short years, ending when the one woman paying her fees suddenly vanished. Forgotten and hopeless, yet possessing a sharp mind, Skolola seemed destined to fade into the background of Lagos life. But fate had a different plan. One day, she crossed paths with Jessica, the daughter of a billionaire, educated at the most prestigious school money could buy, yet struggling to grasp her lessons. The barefoot girl from the gutter became Jessica's secret tutor. And when Jessica's powerful father discovered a homeless child teaching his daughter under a mango tree, his reaction would leave you stunned. So settle in, grab your popcorn, and prepare for one of the most moving stories you'll ever hear. If you're new here, remember to subscribe and hit that like button so we can keep sharing stories like this. Dirty thing. I said leave this place. A glob of spit landed just inches from Skolola's bare feet. She didn't flinch. She'd grown too accustomed to insults. The market woman's voice cut through the air again. Is this a rubbish dump? You and that mad woman better move before I pour water on you. Skolola tightened her grip on her mother, Abini, who sat beside the gutter, barefoot, murmuring to herself while tracing shapes in the dirt with one trembling finger. Her wrapper had slipped halfway, revealing scars and grime, but Abini didn't notice. She was somewhere else, a place only she could see. People passed by. Some slowed to stare, others kept walking. One woman paused, shook her head, and walked on. No one offered help. No one ever did. 12 years old, yet the streets had aged Skolola far beyond her years. She no longer cried when they hurled names at her, daughter of a mad woman, gutter girl, cursed child. The only thing sharper than the cruelty was the pity in strangers' eyes, the kind that came without a helping hand. Her mother had once been beautiful, at least that's how Skolola liked to imagine. On rare days of clarity, Abini would hum old Yoruba lullabies and call her princess. But those moments were as fleeting as shooting stars, gone before they could be cherished. Most days, Abini didn't know where she was. She'd scream at her reflection in puddles, hurl stones at shadows, or flee from monsters only she could see. Skolola had never known her father, not even his name. She had once asked, years ago, "Who's my daddy?" Abini had stared blankly and replied, "I don't know, maybe the rain." And that was the end of it. They slept beneath a broken kiosk near mile 12. If it rained, they were drenched. If the sun blazed, they baked in the heat. Their mattress was a flattened cardboard box, their blanket, silence. Skolola no longer knew what it felt like to dream, survival was the only thing she understood. Mornings began the same way. Abini would jolt awake screaming, clawing at the air. Skolola would wrap her arms around her. "It's me, Mommy. It's me," she'd whisper. Then she'd clean her as best she could, sometimes with just a rag and water from a roadside pipe, and guide her back to their regular begging spot. Her mother begged. Skolola watched. That was life. Coins would drop occasionally. More often, words like stones. "Mommy, please don't talk today," Skolola whispered one morning, tightening her mother's wrapper. "Just sit quietly." But Abini suddenly jumped up and shouted at a passing car, "Give me my wings. I left them in your boot." The driver swerved away. Skolola's cheeks burned. Across the road, a neatly dressed schoolgirl holding a lunchbox looked at her. Their eyes met for a brief second before the girl leaned to whisper something to her friend and laughed. Skolola lowered her gaze to her own legs, dusty, scratched, toenails chipped. Her hands were dry, her stomach growled, but hunger was an old friend. Still, she carried dreams inside her. Dreams of sitting in a classroom, wearing a school uniform, raising her hand with the right answer. Of reading books not soaked by rain or ripped to shreds. Of hearing her name spoken without mockery. But who would send the mad woman's daughter to school? Who cared for a child whose mother chased birds she thought were demons? Nobody. And yet, she still hoped. She would watch children pass with neat braids and shiny backpacks and whisper to herself, one day. One day, she'd sit in a real classroom. One day, she'd leave this cursed street. One day, her mother would smile again and remember her name. As she counted the N10 note and 3 coins they had earned that morning, a hawker shouted behind her, "Thunder fire poverty." Shola didn't turn. She only held her mother tighter and murmured, "Amen." It began with a plate of jollof rice. That afternoon near Oshodi, Shola crouched beside her mother, her empty stomach nodding in pain. Her mother was quiet that day, swaying back and forth, eyes distant. From across the road, Shola noticed a woman watching her. She stood behind a steaming food stand, 2 coolers, a wooden table, plastic chairs, and the warm scent of rice and pepper soup drifting over. She was light-skinned, plump, wearing a simple Ankara dress. There was something different in her gaze, not pity, something else. Shola looked away. She hated being watched like she was on display. Minutes later, the woman crossed the road. "What's your name?" she asked softly. "Shola," she murmured, eyes fixed on her bare feet. "And your mother?" Shola pointed to Abini, who was now singing to an empty bottle. "She's sick, isn't she?" A small nod. "What have you eaten today?" Shola didn't answer. Instead, the woman handed her a takeaway plate. "Here, eat." Shola hesitated. Strangers rarely gave food without expecting something in return she couldn't give. "Don't worry," the woman said with a warm smile. "I'm not like the others." That was the day she met Auntie Linda. The rice was hot, sweet, and the meat tender, her first taste of meat in months. That evening, Auntie Linda came back with bottled water and soap. "What's your story, child?" she asked while helping her wash her hands. So Shola told her everything, about the madness, the market, the brief weeks of school, the hunger, and the dreams. Her voice stayed steady, though it cracked at times. Auntie Linda listened, then wiped her hands with a handkerchief. "Tomorrow, come to my shop. Help me clean, and I'll feed you. Deal?" Shola nodded so hard she almost lost her balance. The next day, she came. She swept, washed plates, served customers, and quietly observed how Auntie Linda worked, the way she smiled at people, the way she ran her stall with quiet authority. One afternoon, Shola sat on the floor behind the counter, drawing numbers in the dust with a stick. Auntie Linda bent down and asked, "Where did you learn to do that?" "From watching the school by the express road," Shola replied. "I memorized what the teacher said." "You mean, you've never actually gone to school?" "I did once. 3 weeks only. Auntie Bessie paid my fees, but she moved away." Auntie Linda stayed quiet for a while. The following week, she surprised Shola with a gift, a brand new exercise book and a pack of pencils. A week later, she went even further. 3 weeks after that, Shola found herself standing inside a dusty public school classroom, her hands shaking, heart racing. She wore a second-hand uniform Auntie Linda had bought at a thrift market. It was far too big, but to Shola, it felt like a crown. "Behave yourself," Auntie Linda had said that morning, guiding her to the school gate. "Make me proud. I don't have money to waste." Shola nodded quickly, clutching the nylon bag with her new book as though it were pure gold. That first day felt strange. Children stared. Some giggled. But when the teacher asked a question and Shola answered before anyone else could, the atmosphere shifted. She was brilliant, answering questions older students couldn't, memorizing poems after a single reading, writing quickly and neatly. Even the headmistress once asked, "Who trained this child?" Shola always gave the same answer, "Auntie Linda." After school each day, she returned to the food stall. She cleaned, served customers, and sometimes enjoyed leftovers, soup, fruit, whatever was there. But the best reward was hearing Auntie Linda say, "Good girl." It was the first time in her life she felt seen and valued. Then, just when her life seemed to be turning a corner, everything shifted again. One evening, Auntie Linda came home holding a white envelope. "My sister in the UK finally processed my papers," she said, tears in her eyes. 7 years of waiting. "So, we're going together?" Shola asked hopefully. The woman's smile faded. "No, Shola. Just me." The air grew heavy. "What about me? I've paid your school fees up until this term. Maybe God will send someone else to help. I've done all I can." Shola stared down at her plate, wanting to scream, "Please take me with you." But she only nodded. 3 weeks later, Auntie Linda was gone. No farewell. No one came to pay for the next term. The headmistress called her aside one day. "I'm sorry, Shola. Without school fees, you can't stay." She stood outside the school gate for hours, clutching her bag, waiting for Auntie Linda to come back. She never did. When the sun began to sink, her uniform was dusty, her book bag pressed tight to her side. She kept her eyes on the bend in the street where she had imagined Auntie Linda's return. But it stayed empty. Her stomach growled. Her throat burned from the dust. Groups of children walked past, laughing, chasing each other toward parents waiting with hugs and snacks. None of that was for her. Eventually, the gateman came over. "Little girl, time to go." She rose slowly, brushed off her skirt, and walked away. But she didn't head home. The broken kiosk she'd once shared with her mother now belonged to a drunk who had threatened her with a belt the last time she came near. The corner by the bakery where Abini used to beg was taken over by 2 boys who sniffed glue and fought anyone who came too close. The streets had changed while she was gone. Her mother hadn't. Still barefoot, still talking to things no one else could see. That night, Shola found her by the gutter, trying to feed a dead pigeon with Gary soaked in dirty rainwater. "Mommy, it's me. Let's go somewhere safe," Shola whispered. Her mother hissed and slapped her. Shola wiped the blood from her lip and sat beside her anyway. They spent the night curled on the pavement, surrounded by cigarette butts, mosquitoes biting at their skin. Her mother laughed in her sleep. Shola didn't sleep at all. The next morning, she put on her school uniform again. She wrapped her books in a black nylon bag and walked back to the school. She waited outside the gate. Maybe they would change their minds. Maybe someone would help. When the headmistress passed, she stopped and frowned. "Why are you here again? I told you, no fees, no school." I'll pay. "I promise," Shola stammered. "How? You and that crazy woman don't even eat well." The words cut deep. Teachers passed. Parents stared. Sholala's face burned with shame. "Please, Ma. Let me sit at the back. I won't disturb anyone." The woman shook her head. "Don't disgrace yourself. This isn't charity. Leave." And that was that. The gates closed. Shola sat by the wall, crying into her book until the ink blurred. Days became weeks. She tried returning to Auntie Linda's food stand, but there was a new owner who drove her away. She sold her last decent sandals for N300, spending it on bread and Gary. Her uniform faded. Her exercise book was ruined by rain until all the writing dissolved into smudges. People stopped seeing her as the clever girl. She was just another street child now, another shadow by the roadside. One evening, while searching for somewhere dry to sleep, she saw a boy, maybe 9, lighting a match to smoke something rolled in paper. "Come, join us," he said. "It'll make you forget you're hungry." She shook her head and walked away. Hunger was loud, but the fear of becoming like those boys was louder. She still had her mind, her last treasure. And somehow, she still believed it could change everything. She couldn't help herself. No matter how many times people chased her away, mocked her, or threw insults like stones, Shola kept coming back. Each morning, while other children laced up shiny shoes and tucked in crisp white shirts, she would slip through the streets toward the back fence of City Crest Academy, a private school that looked like a palace from where she stood. Its walls gleamed gold. The windows sparkled with clean glass. Students wore blazers, polished shoes, and neat name tags sewn into their uniforms. She didn't belong there, not even close. But it didn't stop her. There was one classroom with a cracked open window and a narrow ledge just beneath it, next to an old mango tree where no one paid attention. That was her secret spot. From there, she could see the chalkboard, hear the teacher's voice, and watch the math problems being explained. She mouthed the answers under her breath, clutching a broken pencil stub like it was a rare gem. Her notebook had long been destroyed by rain, so she scavenged scraps of paper from trash bins, old flyers, torn cardboard, anything with a blank side, and wrote on those. Every day she stayed until the bell rang, then slipped away before anyone noticed. But one Monday, her luck ran out. The teacher spotted her, a ragged girl with bright eyes peeking from the window. "Hey! Who's that?" the woman shouted. Shola froze. A student turned and said with disgust, "It's that crazy girl again, the one who follows us." Laughter erupted. The teacher stormed toward the back door. "What do you want here? Who sent you?" I just want to learn." "Please, let me listen from outside," Shola stammered. "Are you mad? Do you think this is a public place?" "No, Ma, but I won't disturb anyone. I promise." "Go tell your mother to pay school fees first, if you even know who she is," the teacher snapped. Her lips trembled, but no words came. The woman grabbed a stick from the table and raised it. Shola turned and ran, the sting of humiliation chasing her faster than her feet could carry her. She didn't give up. The next day, she tried another school, Bright Scholars Academy. Less grand, but still guarded. This time, she didn't dare the windows. She crouched by a gap in the fence, listening as the children recited their times tables. She whispered along, repeating the English words when they chanted. Sometimes, she even corrected them under her breath. One morning, a boy spotted her and threw a stone. "Witch! Go away! You're distracting us." The stone hit her shoulder, but she didn't cry. Another child shouted, "She's mad like her mummy. Go learn in the psychiatric hospital." Still, she came back. Day after day. But pain piles up. One afternoon, a security guard caught her. "Who are you? Always sneaking here like a thief." "I'm not a thief, sir. I just want to learn." He didn't listen. He shoved her to the ground. "Next time I see you here, I'll beat you." As she limped away, she glanced back at the bright walls, the desks, the blackboard, everything she longed for but could not touch. She sat beneath a tree and began writing multiplication tables in the dust with a stick. When the wind blew them away, she started again. That night, as her mother mumbled in her sleep, Shola looked up at the stars. "God," she whispered, "why did you make me so smart, only to lock the school doors? Did you give me this brain just to suffer?" No answer came, only the distant sound of car horns and the quiet sobs of a child wanting more than mere survival. The first time Shola carried a tray of sachet water on her head, her neck almost gave out from the weight. The tray was rusted, the water barely cold, but it was all she could get from Mama Doris's shop on credit. "Don't break any, oh," Mama Doris warned. "If you drop even one, you pay. If I see you sitting to rest, you pay." Shola only nodded. She was used to rules that hurt. She adjusted the tray and stepped into the blazing sun. The Lagos road didn't care that she was 12, that her feet were blistered, or that her shoulders shook under the heat. The street was war. Older women shoved her aside. Bigger boys called her small mad girl and stole customers. Buses nearly clipped her. Drivers cursed at her. But she kept going. Every time she sold one sachet, she whispered under her breath, 5 naira closer to food. Her only goal was simple, feed her mother. No fantasies, no far-off dreams. Just bread and Gary so her mother wouldn't starve. By midday, her legs trembled. Her lips were dry and cracked. She longed for rest, so she sat in the shade of a faded billboard. She had sold 12 sachets, N120. 10 more and she could buy okra and Gary. A man walked past, dropped N200 into her tray. Go buy something, little one. Thank you, sir, she whispered, but before she could move, a teenage boy snatched the money and ran. She chased, screaming, but he vanished into the chaos of the market. She stopped, chest heaving, eyes burning, and sank by the gutter to cry. People passed without a glance. That evening, she returned to her mother's usual spot. Abini was humming and clapping like a child. Mommy, I brought bread, Skolola said with a forced smile. Her mother frowned. Who are you? The angel with black wings. No, Mommy. I'm Skolola. Your daughter. My daughter is a star, Abini giggled. She fell from the sky and drowned in a bottle of oil. That's what they told me. Skolola tore the bread into small pieces, feeding her slowly. She didn't eat herself, she was too tired. Later that night, she found a broken mirror near the kiosk where they sometimes slept. Her face was sunburned, her eyes swollen, lips cracked from the heat. She looked nothing like the students she'd watched from the fence. But when she asked herself quietly, 6 divided by 3, she still knew the answer. 2, she whispered, and smiled faintly. No matter how much the world tried to crush her, her mind stayed sharp. That was enough to keep her moving. The next day, she was back on the road, tray full, feet raw, heart steady. She was selling water, but in her soul, she was still chasing something bigger, one chance to prove that the daughter of a madwoman didn't have to die on the streets. Skolola had no business being there. Queen's Crest International School stood behind tall, gleaming gates guarded by men in navy uniforms with radios clipped to their belts. Children arrived in spotless SUVs, stepping out with the help of uniformed drivers. The walls were freshly painted, the glass windows shimmered in the sun. It was a place for Lagos's elite. It was not a place for the barefoot daughter of a woman who begged by the roadside. But she had seen the school from afar too many times. That day, something inside her whispered, go closer. She had no money, no plan, no permission. Only eyes filled with longing. Creeping around the side fence where weeds grew thick, she spotted a narrow opening near a drainage pipe. She squeezed through, brushing thorns off her skin. Her heart pounded so hard it drowned out the noise of the compound. She expected to be caught instantly, but no one noticed. Hiding behind flower beds and ducking behind trees, she made her way to the back field where a large mango tree offered cover. From there, she could see straight into a junior classroom through an open window. She crouched down, pulled a pencil from her pocket, and began copying words she heard onto a scrap of nylon. She was halfway through an English passage when a voice behind her spoke. You're the girl they always chase away, right? Her heart stopped. She spun around to see a girl her age with neat cornrows, a spotless uniform, and a name tag that read Jessica Agu. I didn't mean any harm, Skolola stammered, edging back. I was just listening. Why? Because I want to learn. You don't go to school. No. My mother's sick. We live on the streets. Jessica looked down at her polished shoes. People laugh at me, too. They say I'm dumb, that my dad pays the school to keep passing me. You. Scholola's eyes widened. Jessica nodded. I don't understand anything in class. Everyone's ahead of me. So, I eat lunch alone out here. Silence lingered between them. Then Jessica sat down and patted the grass. Want to sit? Hesitant, Scolola lowered herself beside her. Jessica opened her bag and pulled out a textbook. Can you teach me this? I don't get it. Scolola glanced at the page, fractions. Studying it for a moment, she gently took the book. Okay, see here, when you have 1/2 and 1/4, they don't share the same denominator. Jessica listened closely, eyes widening as Scolola broke it down. Within minutes, she was solving problems that had stumped her all term. I understand. Jessica gasped. You're not dumb, Scolola said with a shy smile. Jessica grinned. And you're not just smart. You're amazing. They sat under the mango tree for over an hour. When the bell rang, Jessica stood. Will you come tomorrow? They'll chase me. I don't belong here. Jessica's eyes narrowed. Wait here. She dashed off and returned moments later with the school security man trailing behind. This is my friend, Jessica said firmly. Her name is Scolola. She'll be here during lunch. Let her in. The guard looked puzzled. But she's not. She's my friend, Jessica repeated. And my dad owns this school. Any problem with that? The man kept quiet. Jessica turned to Scolola. Same time tomorrow, okay? Scolola nodded slowly, hardly believing what had happened. That evening, as her mother sang to an empty bottle in the dark, Scolola sat by the gutter and prayed, God, I met someone today. She saw me. She didn't call me dirty or mad. Please, let me see her again. Let this not be a dream. That night, she slept with a smile for the first time in years. They met under the mango tree every day after that. Scolola came barefoot in a worn brown dress, clutching a plastic bag of torn papers and a stub of pencil. Jessica arrived in her pressed uniform with a lunchbox prepared by the cook. Two girls from two worlds, but when they sat together, none of it mattered. Jessica laughed more. She started paying attention in class, not because her teachers suddenly made sense, but because Scolola did. Don't read like a robot, Scolola would say. Read like you're telling a friend. Jessica would try, stumble, and try again. When she got it right, Scolola clapped like it was the greatest victory in the world. No one claps for me, Jessica once admitted. But you're rich. Don't people celebrate you? Only when I wear the right dress or when my dad hosts parties, not when I get answers right. Scolola took her hand. You deserve more. Jessica squeezed her hand back. One afternoon, sharing spaghetti and plantain, Jessica asked, Do you have a best friend? You, Scolola replied instantly. Me, too. Her smile faded. What if my dad finds out? What if he says we can't be friends? Then you'll forget me. That's how it works. No, I won't, Jessica said firmly. The rich don't want their daughters with girls like me. My mother begs. People say she's cursed. They think I'm cursed too. You're not cursed, Jessica whispered. You're magic. Who else can teach better than my teachers? Who else makes me laugh when I want to cry? Who else makes this place feel like home? Scolola blinked, her throat tight. Magic, Jessica repeated. From then on, they shared more than food and books. Jessica brought her a hairbrush, a small blue notebook, even a pair of slippers she rarely wore for fear they'd be stolen. In return, Scolola told her stories, some real, some invented, about stars falling in love with street kids, about girls who found their dreams, about mothers healed by rain. Jessica listened to every word like it was treasure. But they told no one. Not teachers. Not classmates. Certainly not Chief Agu, Jessica's father, one of Lagos's most feared and respected billionaires. Under the mango tree, they built their own world. A world where names and backgrounds didn't matter. Until one day, Shola didn't come. Jessica waited, and waited. Her chest tightened. She was about to run for the gate when she heard a familiar voice. "Sorry I'm late," Shola panted. "My mom," she ran into the road. "I had to pull her back before she got hit." Jessica hugged her tightly. "I thought you weren't coming. Even if I had to crawl, I'd come." "One day, I'll tell my dad," Jessica said. "What if he says no? Then I'll scream until he says yes." That night, under a broken street lamp, Shola traced the drawing in her blue notebook, two stick girls under a mango tree, holding hands. She smiled before closing her eyes. For the first time, she fell asleep unafraid. The morning began like any other. Jessica sat through her classes, barely listening, counting the minutes until lunch. Her fingers tapped restlessly against her desk, her heart beating faster than usual. Teachers praised her improved performance. She'd answered 2 literature questions correctly. Even the principal mentioned her progress in assembly. But none of them knew the truth. Her secret wasn't a pricey private tutor. It was Shola, the barefoot girl with a brilliant mind and a heart bigger than anyone Jessica had ever known. At exactly 12:35 p.m., Jessica was already under the mango tree, lunchbox ready, 2 spoons inside, and Schola's favorite biscuit tucked in the corner. Then she heard it, the low hum of black SUVs rolling into the compound. Heads turned. Teachers froze mid-sentence. Security men straightened their uniforms. Jessica's stomach dropped. Daddy. Chief Agu didn't make unannounced visits to school. He was too busy for that. His name alone carried weight, his presence filled the air before he even spoke. Jessica stood quickly, brushing crumbs from her skirt. She didn't know whether to stay or run. Before she could decide, Shola appeared, barefoot, dust on her legs, smiling. "I'm here," she said, catching her breath. "Sorry, I had to fetch water before leaving." But Jessica wasn't smiling. Her eyes were fixed on the tall figure stepping out of the SUV. Dark-skinned, impeccably dressed in a black kaftan and leather sandals. Chief Agu. Shola followed her gaze. Her body went rigid. "That's..." Jessica nodded. "My dad." The smile slid from Scholola's face. Panic hit like a wave. "I have to go," she whispered. "Too late." "Jessica." The deep voice carried across the lawn. She turned. Chief Agu walked toward them, 2 assistants trailing behind. His sharp eyes took in the scene, his daughter standing beside a barefoot girl clutching a worn nylon bag and half-eaten biscuit. "Who is this?" Shola lowered her gaze, her mouth opening but no sound coming. Jessica stepped in front of her. "This is Shola. She's my friend." "You're what?" "She helps me. She teaches me." "Excuse me?" Jessica straightened. "The reason I'm doing well in school is because of her. She teaches me every day at lunch. I understand her better than any teacher here." Silence stretched. Chief Agu's gaze stayed fixed on the trembling girl. "Who are your parents, child?" I don't know my father, sir. My mother's sick. She begs near Oshodi. People call her mad. We have no home. You're not in school." She shook her head. "No one to pay fees. My only sponsor left the country 2 years ago." Jessica reached for her hand. Chief Agu noticed, his daughter holding on like it was the most natural thing in the world. For the first time, his expression softened. "You've been coming here every day, teaching her in secret?" Jessica nodded. "I wanted to tell you, but I was scared." "Scared of me?" Scared you'd stop me from seeing her. He looked at Skolola again. She flinched. I'm not here to hurt you, he said gently. Take me to your mother. Please, sir, don't punish her. She doesn't know what I do here. If I stop coming, I'll stay away. Just don't hurt her. I won't, he said. I just want to see her. Jessica looked at her father. Promise you won't send her away. He studied them, two girls from different worlds, bound together by something deeper. I promise. 30 minutes later, the convoy pulled into a dusty street near mile 12. Flies buzzed, the smell of burning trash thick in the air. Skolola pointed. She's there. A woman sat on the sidewalk barefoot, rocking back and forth, laughing at nothing. Her clothes were torn, hair matted. That's my mommy, Skolola whispered. Chief Agu stepped out, walked over, and crouched beside her. Madam, he said softly. She looked up. Did you bring this guy? I left my wings in your car. Tears stung Skolola's eyes. I'm going to help her, Chief Agu said quietly. I know people. She needs proper care. Please. I don't want money. I just want her to be okay. He turned to his assistant. Get Dr. Aisha on the line. Psychiatric unit. Full treatment. No delays. Then to Skolola, and you? From today, you are not a homeless girl. She gasped. He knelt, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. You have a father now. Even as the car drove away from the only street she had known, even as she watched her mother gently lifted into an ambulance bound for the best psychiatric hospital in Lagos, even when Jessica held her hand and whispered, "You're safe now," Skolola still thought it must be a dream. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply stared, trying to understand how a day that began with fear had ended with a billionaire calling her daughter. Chief Agu wasted no time. That same evening, Skolola took her first proper bath in years. Jessica lent her fresh pajamas. One of the housemaids, wide-eyed with surprise, gently combed and styled her hair. When the introductions were over, Chief Agu's voice left no room for questions. This is Skolola. She'll be staying here from now on. Treat her with the same respect you give my daughter. The next morning, she stood before the mirror in Jessica's room, wearing a borrowed Queen's Crest school uniform, crisp, clean, perfectly ironed. Jessica clapped in delight. You look just like me. I feel like I'm dreaming, Skolola whispered. You're not. My dad said you belong here. But I'm the daughter of a madwoman. No, Jessica said firmly. You're the daughter of my father now. Skolola turned to the window, the morning light spilling across her face. I don't know how to thank him. Thank him the way he values most, shine. Show everyone what you can do. That day, the two girls walked into Queen's Crest together, matching uniforms, matching bags, matching smiles. Gasps followed them. Teachers stared. Wasn't this the street girl who used to peek through the window? Yes, but now she was walking through the front gate as a student. In class, Skolola's hand shot up for every question. Her answers came quick, precise, brilliant. By the day's end, the teachers were asking the principal, where did this girl come from? She's exceptional. The principal smiled. From the street, apparently, but now she's family. Meanwhile, Chief Agu kept his word. Abini was admitted to a private psychiatric facility under Dr. Aisha's care. It will take time, the doctor said. But with treatment, love, and structure, there's hope. Skolola visited weekly. The first few times, her mother didn't recognize her, shouting at walls, crying over things only she could see. But on the fifth visit, she paused, looked up, and whispered, You look like the sky. Skolola burst into tears. Weeks passed. She adjusted slowly to her new life. She still woke up some nights, convinced she was back on the sidewalk. She still flinched when someone raised a hand too quickly. But her laughter came easier now. She spoke up in class. She made new friends, though none replaced Jessica. The two girls shared everything: stories, secrets, lunches, dreams. Jessica's grades soared, her confidence bloomed. And everyone knew why, because of the girl who once sat under the mango tree. One Friday, Chief Agu called Shola into his study. She stood by the door, unsure. "I've been watching you," he said. "You've changed my daughter's life, and mine." "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to learn," she murmured. He chuckled. "And now you will. As far as I'm concerned, you're my child. I'll do for you what I do for Jessica." He opened a drawer and handed her a brand new tablet loaded with all her school materials. She stared at it like it was treasure. "Thank you, sir. Thank you for seeing me, when no one else did." "You were never invisible," he said, resting a hand gently on her head. "You just needed someone to look closely." That night, Shola sat in the garden under the mango tree, now trimmed neatly, with clean tiles and benches around it. She looked up at the stars. "My name is Shola," she whispered. "Daughter of no one, friend of Jessica, student of Queen's Crest. And now, I have a father." She closed her eyes. "God, I used to ask you for three things: to heal my mother, to send me to school, to give me just one friend. You gave me all three. I promise I won't waste this chance." She pressed a hand over her heart. The girl once called Daughter of the Madwoman had become a symbol of hope, living proof that kindness and opportunity can rewrite a life. For Chief Agu, for Jessica, and for anyone who believed in the power of love and education, Shola was evidence. The future had opened its doors, and she walked through them with her head held high. No child is born worthless. Every life carries potential. With compassion and opportunity, even the most forgotten soul can rise. Shola's journey reminds us, one act of kindness can break cycles of poverty and rejection. True greatness is not about where you start, but what you do when someone finally sees you. Believe. Uplift. Never judge a child by their circumstance. We hope this story touched your heart. Share what you learned in the comments. Another inspiring story is coming soon, so subscribe, turn on the bell, and be the first to watch. If this story moved you, like it, share it with friends and family. Thank you for watching. God bless you.